Hey everyone, it is Tiffany of Clarity, Confidence, Courage, Women's Empowerment. And today I want to talk about why you should not be friends with your ex right after a divorce. You heard me right. Don't try to be friends with your ex after a divorce. I know you're thinking, well, Tiffany, there are plenty of people who have been friends with their ex after a divorce. That's true, but today I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't and why it usually does not work out well. Now, before we jump into this content, make sure you share, like, and subscribe to the channel so that I can help other women just like you live their life on purpose, happy, and peaceful. All right, let's get into this content. Now, when it comes to being friends with your ex right after divorce, I'm going to be honest with you, it can be a slippery slope. Trust me, I've gone through the same situation myself, tried it, it did not work. And I want to tell you the reason why. Now, I know there are a lot of you who say, well, Tiffany, I know people who have gotten divorced and who have become really good friends after their divorce, or I know celebrities who got divorced and they became friends after their divorce. I'm not saying that you can't ever become friends with your ex after a divorce, but usually that takes time. And there's a reason why it takes time. And I'm going to discuss that in today's video. There's always, of course, exceptions to the rules. But many times, if you got divorced from someone, there was a reason. And trying to be friends with them right after divorce will set you up for even more heartache than you felt during the marriage. First, let's talk about some of the top reasons people get divorced to begin with. Some of the top reasons that most people get divorced in the first place are infidelity, drug use, physical or emotional abuse, lack of trust, and lack of commitment. And that's just a few. There are so many that you can find online as to the reasons why people get divorced. But when you think about those reasons, honestly, would you want to be friends with the person that you can't trust? Would you want to be friends with the person that cheated on you? Would you want to be friends with the person that abused you? I mean, when you think about the reasons why you got divorced in the first place, once you get a divorce, those issues don't go away. That person is the exact same person they were when you were married to them. So why would you want to continue to put yourself in a situation where you have to face this person on a daily or weekly basis because you're trying to be nice and trying to remain friends? Let me tell you the reasons why. I believe that you should not try to be friends with your ex right after divorce. Now, over time, your feelings may change, they may change, people change. But in the beginning, that first year, yes, I said a year, you should not try to be friends with your ex. And here's the reason why. Reason number one, you and your ex need time to grieve. You know, when you get married, 9 times out of 10, I'm not talking about the people who kind of have some wishy-washy marriages where you can kind of open and they do anything. No. I'm talking about the average traditional marriage. When you marry somebody, 9 times out of 10, you're getting married because you want a partnership with someone, because you love them, because you care about them. That might be your best friend. You have a child together. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons, but the base of it is kind of the same. You want a happy life with this person. So when you go into a marriage with that thought process of the positive things are it's going to be wonderful, it's going to be excellent, the last thing a lot of times people are thinking about is getting a divorce. But when you come together and you merge your life with someone else, you bring your families together, you bring your friends together, you may have children together, you have so much of your life intertwined with this other person. So when you have to then cut that person off, completely change your life, it can feel like a death. And when you, of course, have someone that dies in your family, what do? You have to give yourself time to grieve. You have to grieve that loss. And it's the same thing with a divorce. When you divorce someone, whether you wanted the divorce or not, it's still a loss and you will feel it. You will feel that emptiness in your life from where that person used to be compared to the emptiness that you have now. So you need to be willing to give yourself time to grieve. And you have to be willing to give your ex time to grieve. If you say, well, Tiffany, I wanted the divorce, but you know what? I'm good. I'm fine. Well, just because you're good and fine doesn't mean your ex is good and fine. They may need time to process everything that happened. This is a big life transition and it will hurt. There will be days where you will cry and you will moan. And you might even ask yourself, did I make the right decision? So give yourself time and space to grieve the loss that you suffered, whether you wanted a divorce or not. You need time to grieve and hopefully heal. The second reason, connected to the first reason, once you're able to grieve that loss, you then need to have time to create a new identity. Again, when you got married to this person, 9 times out of 10 in an average traditional marriage, you saw them every day, or you spent a lot of time together. You brought your families together. You may have had children together. You may, some marriages, you may change your last name. You may change your home. Everything about your life may have changed because you came together with this person. And it may be a change that both of you wanted at that time. But once you get a divorce, all of that changes. You're no longer in the house with them. You're no longer sharing finances with them. You may no longer have the same friends. You may move out of the home that you lived in. You may have, if you have children, may have to have joint custody or some type of agreement. Your families may stop speaking to each other. So much changes, which means that you're going to now have to create a new identity for yourself. What is it that you want? What are your vision and your goals for your life now? How do you want to raise your children now, possibly as a single parent? How are you going to make money now? What type of life do you want to live now? You have to start asking yourself new questions and create a new identity for the person you become after your divorce. And so you need to have that time and that space to do that, because what may happen is if you keep trying to be friends with your ex, just being in their presence, just having contact with them will trigger you to take on the same behavior as the wife, as the person that you were when you were initially married to them. Trust me, I've seen it time and time again. So be willing to give yourself that space to create your new identity so that when you do interact with your ex, it's you as the new person, not as the person they remember you being. Reason 3, you need to prioritize self-care. And you need to give your ex some time to give themselves some self-care too. Depending on the reasons why you got divorced, 9 times out of 10, it was not good. Going through a difficult marriage is tough. Going through a difficult divorce is even worse. And a lot of times after all of that, you're feeling depleted, you're feeling anxious, you may be depressed. It may be a lot of work that you need to get yourself back to just a state of being content, to being satisfied with yourself. But that takes prioritizing self-care. That might look like going to therapy. That might look like giving yourself time to maybe go on a vacation by yourself. Or that might look like just doing little things that you didn't get to do when you were married. Going out with friends again, or getting your nails done or your hair done, or going shopping, or just relaxing, or just sitting in silence, especially if there was a lot of arguing or combative behavior when you were married. You need to allow yourself that time and space to just pour back into yourself, because a divorce can take so much out of you. And you feel a lot of times depleted by the end of it. So be willing to give yourself time and space to pour back in that self-care and a self-care routine. The 4th reason you shouldn't try to be friends with your ex right after divorce is because you need to make sure that you are safe. Now, this is specifically to people or women who have gone through a divorce because they were being physically, mentally, or sexually abused or assaulted, or their child was being physically, mentally, or sexually abused. In those situations where you are no longer safe in your marriage, not only do you want to get the divorce to get out of it, but you need to get a divorce to get space and get somewhere safe. That might be that you have to go in hiding from your spouse. You may need police protection. You may need to get a restraining order. There are different steps that you can do depending on your city and your state to make sure that you are safe. In those situations, the likelihood of you trying to be friends with your spouse is very, very low. As a matter of fact, you may be in a situation where if you have children and you have custody, you may actually have to be in a place where you get a mediator to help allow you and your spouse to see the children without the two of you actually having to be in front of each other and having to engage with each other. So it's really important in certain circumstances that you can't be friends with your ex, because they are also your or your child's abuser. And you don't want to put yourself in physical harm's way by trying to quickly be kind to them and nice to them and having them manipulate you to pull you back into that abusive circumstance, even though you're divorced. So again, the fourth reason is make sure you are safe. The fifth reason for making sure that you're not friends after you get a divorce is because you don't want to give your ex false hope or mixed signals. Now, I know you're thinking, Tiffany, like, what are you talking about? We got divorced, that clearly we don't want to be together. Well, if you're divorcing someone who didn't want to get the divorce, they may interpret your kindness or trying to be friendly as you saying you want to rekindle the relationship or you want to reconcile. You know, for people that do not want the divorce, a lot of times they will do whatever it takes in order to get you back, even if that means being in the quote, quote, friend zone for a couple of months until, you know, we're able to get back together. Some people have that hope. And if you continue to try to be friendly with them or try to be super nice to them, in their minds, they may think, this is just something that she's doing in order to kind of date again, in order for us to get this spark back, in order to give her some time to think, and then we're going to get back together. Don't do that. Don't plant that seed of hope in someone's life if you know absolutely that you're not getting back together. As a matter of fact, you need to be very clear about your intentions when you get a divorce. You might say something like, you know, I will always care about you. I will always have love in my heart for you. But I know without a shadow of a doubt, us getting divorced was the best decision because I'm ready to move on with my life. And I hope that you can move on with your life. Or even saying just straight out, we will never get back together again. And I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but we will never reconcile. And I don't want you to have false hope. You know, it's okay to be clear and to be honest. At this point, you're divorced. I mean, if they don't get the picture, you know, when will they get the picture? So you need to make sure that you're not giving mixed signals or false hope by trying to remain close friends to a person that you have gotten divorced from. So give yourself that time and space, and trust me, after a while, they're going to get the hint that it's over. It is actually over, and you guys are not getting back together. And hey, this even applies if they immediately start dating someone else. That's the other little bonus here. Even if they start dating someone else and you're still single, they may still have a flame for you, even though they're in a different relationship. So you can still send mixed signals by trying to be friends with them. So don't think because they're dating someone else that it's completely over. No, if they jump into a relationship, they may still want to be with you. So again, make sure that you give yourself that time and space and let them figure their own thing out before you try to become friends. And if you have children with them, be willing to, you know, talk to them about the children, but anything else, cut it short. Do not play into that. So those are the 5 reasons that I absolutely say don't try to be friends with your ex right after a divorce. I'm not saying years down the line you can't be, but right now, right after the divorce is not the time. And again, I say give yourself a full year, depending on what you went through with that person, full year to 3 years. It may take a really long time. I mean, depending on how long your marriage lasted, think about it. If you were married for a good 10, 15 years and now you're like, oh, I just want to be friends now, probably not going to happen. So give yourself the amount of time that you feel is necessary to really take care of yourself, reflect, heal, forgive, and understand that 9 times out of 10, the reason that you got divorced from the person is the reason why you don't want to be in a friendship with them. Yes, you can be friendly if you have children together and you have to see them again, but if you don't have any children with them and there's no reason to stay connected, trust me, the best thing you can do is to let go, give them some space that they need to heal, reflect, and move forward with their life, and you give yourself the space that you need to heal, reflect, and move forward with your life. And eventually down the road, perhaps you two can be friends again. Perhaps there is some place where you have found peace and solace and you can actually be on a friendly level. So that is it for me. I just want to do this video to talk about the reason why you should not be friends with your ex right after divorce and to move on with your life. And hey, if you're in a place where you're like, Tiffany, I am divorced, I am ready to move on with my life, I want to get clarity, I want to get courage, I want to build confidence, I want to create my new identity, then definitely click the link in my description. Let's jump on a free coaching strategy session where we'll talk about where you are, where you want to be, and possibly us working together to get you moving on the right track. All right, that is it for me. I hope you have a wonderful day. As always, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Talk to you soon. Bye.